OMG, the New York Mets are moving on to the NLCS. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to the channel. As always, I am the sports judge. Congratulations to the Mets fans everywhere. The adversity this team went through and the crazy moments truly make this magical run that much more special. The craziest season Mets fans probably can remember. Mets magic. It makes you feel like, wow, October baseball might be the most unpredictable, wildest thing that you can think of when it comes to the playoffs in terms of professional sports. The Mets are a perfect example. And somehow this Mets run keeps reaching new heights of crazy, of magical, of unexpected, of oh my God. I mean, come on. No one ever expected this to actually happen. No one at all could have seen this one coming. Believe me, it was a shock for me as well. The series versus the Phillies have taken everyone by surprise. Once upon a time, they were frustrating, annoying, and downright unwatchable. Never felt it was their year. I'm sure by now New Yorkers feel for the first time in a long time that they can hope again. From a misery to, oh my God, we're dreaming the improbable dream. Go back to May as the Mets faded into fertility, enduring a miserable campaign. Then the Mets flipped a switch, and since that June 2nd loss to the Diamondbacks, they went on a stretch where they went 36-19, the best record in the majors. Over that span, a team left for dead in May proved they belong. With 3 wins against the Phillies, the Mets ensured their in-season turnaround wasn't a fluke. And you know what's crazy about this whole thing? Over the last 10 games, the Mets have hit 3 home runs that will go down among the most memorable in franchise history. Pete Alonso picked the perfect time to break out of his slump, and to think we were ready to give up on Alonso, who was vilified by the crowd and booed, becoming the butt of jokes, hit his way out of a slump and turned it around with a season-saving home run for the Mets that sent them to the NLDS. Got to give the Mets credit, honestly. They were just the better team and won the series as much as Philly blew it. They just were the better team in this series. They had the better lineup. They had the deeper lineup. They got contributions from more players, 1 through 9. It's the greatest story in baseball. And let's be honest about it. At this point, these Mets are far from being underdogs. They've been one of the best teams in baseball for several months. Since June, most wins, best record in baseball, #1 run differential, and just turned into an absolute buzzsaw over the last couple of months. Nobody talked about that or how good they had looked. Seriously, nobody whatsoever talked about how dominant the Mets had been playing. Compared to last year, they were a train wreck last year. It was an unsolvable calamity. They spent all that money. They were a disaster. And so Steve Cohen was like, Max Scherzer, we took a swing. That didn't work. And so Cohen paid off around $35 million remaining on Max's contract to facilitate that deal with the Rangers. Justin Verlander, who was coming off a Cy Young season, I just thought him in New York was weird. It was very weird to me. It was never a good fit for Verlander. But hey, let's try it out. He exhibits good stuff, Cy Young stuff. It's a home run. So hey, let's try it out. That didn't work. Verlander was traded back to the Astros, and the Mets remained on the hook to pay $35 million of his remaining $58 million owed to him. Cohen moved off him, got some prospects, and look at this, folks. The Mets to the NLCS for the first time since 2015. It was nerve-wracking. It was nail-biting, eye-shutting, you know. It was crazy to the very end as Edwin Diaz came in and scared the heck out of everybody at Citi Field when he started walking guys. But another one of those October moments, once again, they just keep on winning in dramatic fashion in ways unimaginable. Timely hits, dominant relief pitching, hot bats, and of course, Francisco Lindor, who has put together a spectacular season for the ages in a Mets uniform. There was no doubt in my mind, anybody who's watched a Mets game in the last couple of weeks felt the same way. Frankie Lindor is the guy you want up in that spot because you know he is going to deliver in the clutch, and he does it in grand fashion. That's what he does. Once again, needing a clutch performance, Francisco Lindor comes through. That home run in the bottom of the sixth by Lindor, who they've been chanting MVP, hits a go-ahead grand slam. It was supposed to be a rebuilding year, and Steve Cohen realized he paid the wrong guy. You know, they started 0-5. They were like 22 and 30 at the deadline, expected to be sellers. This team wasn't even thinking about the playoffs. Baseball is fantastically weird. October 2024 is one of the most insane times. I mean, this has been the most surreal Mets season. Literally everyone in Philly is stunned today. Probably ready to lose their cool after the Philly letdown. We know the Phillies offense has had struggles. They've struck out a ton. You know, they're not coming up clutch. And the bullpen, which got a lot of praise, had been, the worst in the postseason. The bottom of the lineup was non-existent. The bats were pathetic, worthless, undisciplined swings from practically everyone. Utterly demoralizing collapse from the Phillies bullpen. Hitters in the lineup taking massive hacks down multiple runs with the bases empty. And with that, the Phillies outdid themselves. It was amazing what transpired in this series. I mean, the Mets have gotten good starts after good starts from Jose Quintana's continued brilliance. Last night in Game 4, he was dealing. And another guy who stood out was David Peterson. Again, he showed up big. He had an awesome year as a starting pitcher for the Mets and had been central to that starting rotation. And then now he has become a big part of that bullpen in high leverage situations. And man, you look at Sean Manaea and how he has emerged as New York's ace. You love to see that from a guy who reinvented himself. So whatever he did by going to a data-driven performance training center in the Seattle area to remake himself, it worked. You can't be more grateful for him in a situation like that, where he went out there in Game 3 and he was essentially dominating. What is different with him is this. Manaea's change in his usual pitch mix was a big factor in his dominant Game 3 win. When you think of Francisco Lindor's grand slam, you go, man, this guy is the main man right now in New York. Maybe even a bigger name than Aaron Judge. We got a snapshot of New York greatness that very well could lead to a World Series championship. He has been a central figure to the Mets' success all year long, both offensively and defensively. And so far in the postseason, where Lindor looked comfortable, has given quality at-bats amid this magical run, getting it done both offensively and defensively, plays every game. Not only that, but he came back from a significant back injury that kept him out for a significant stretch. Towards the end of the year, he comes back when we weren't really sure if that would be the case, and then produces at a high level, clutch as you can be. I love his enthusiasm and excitement. He clearly wants to be there. When he's feeling good, it makes everybody else around him feel the same way. It's contagious. His attitude, his drive, his will to win. He gets it. Absolute heartbeat of the team and city, the perfect face of the franchise. Exactly the attitude you need from your leadoff guy who certainly embraces that role. I love this guy's attitude and the outgoing personality, always smiling, always happy. And the only reason he didn't smile after his grand slam that won the game for the Mets was because he knew it wasn't over until the Mets got the final 3 outs. I admire his mentality. He's a big part of why the Mets are in the position to be talking about a World Series in the first place. Lots of credit to go around for the success they've had this year, and this guy is a key piece of it. Easy to forget he almost won one before in Cleveland and the year the Cubs beat them. And the Mets, this team with him on it, they're just so fun to watch, and now I'm sitting here looking at this team and I'm like, wow, how far can they go? It's actually exciting stuff. Like, it's an amazing story. It's the biggest story in baseball right now because this team was dead in the water. This team was most likely going to miss the playoffs, and then they just hit the switch and they've been hot ever since. So it's amazing stuff what they're doing. They beat the Phillies, and that means something. That says a lot about this team, able to take down one of the best teams in baseball. We're talking about possibly the deepest team in baseball, the Phillies, and you do that to them. I mean, that's incredible stuff, to be able to take down the Phillies the way they did. And of all teams, it was the New York Mets, your rival team, that beat you. It was just amazing stuff from the New York Mets. And now they are on their way to the NLCS. Congratulations to the New York Mets. Congratulations to their fans. Congratulations to New York. Maybe you guys will see my Dodgers in the next round. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But thanks for watching, everyone. Really appreciate the love and support. I'm getting out of here now. It's been fun chatting with you guys, and I got more content coming for you guys. For all my Dodger fans out there, you guys are next. I got some great stuff coming. We got to talk about that game for last night. That was all about survival. The Dodgers needed to win that game, and they took care of business, and I couldn't be happier because our bullpen, they saved the day. Man, but I'll talk more about it. Take care, everyone.